96.7 KCAL rocks. It is your Monday, and it's time to talk after the first big weekend of straight up full schedule football. What's going down, Pep? Let's talk.
Oh, man, we got so much football to get to, Patrick. In fact, it was crazy because on Sunday, there was so much breaking NFL news and craziness in the NFL before the games even started. And we'll get to that in just a second. But I want to give some local shout outs. First to our guy, Jayden Daniels. We talk about him a lot, the Heisman Trophy winner out of Cajon High School. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, about 300, total yards on the ground through the air. But they did lose. The Washington Commanders did lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who, Patrick, dude, Tampa Bay with Baker Mayfield, they're actually pretty good, man. When Tom Brady left, we thought they were going to fall off a cliff. No, Tampa Bay is actually pretty good.
And I don't want to jinx them or anything, but they have some aspirations of going very deep in the playoffs. Dare I say Super Bowl talk?
Yeah, isn't it crazy? I thought they were going to be a bottom, team after Tom Brady left, but they haven't. And Baker Mayfield has really stepped up. And I think, at least to me, it's really surprised me that, Tampa Bay is still this good. So, not easy to go into Tampa Bay and win, and our guy Jayden Daniels found out the hard way. Now, he did, I would say, at least in my book, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think he did outperform Caleb Williams out of USC, the number 1 overall pick. Jayden was 2, Caleb was 1, so those two will forever be linked, at least for a while, when you compare their 2 careers. The Bears did beat the Titans, but Caleb Williams really was a non-factor in that game. It was special teams, it was defense, it was everything else. So when you look at at least the whole body of work for their first games of the year, Jayden lost, but he looked pretty good. Caleb Williams won, but wasn't so great.
Caleb did not set the world on fire, but like you said, he did pull out the win. Yeah. Is that a good sign? I guess we'll see how he develops. Sometimes if you can play like crap and still win, yes, it can be a good sign, so I guess we'll have to see.
We will see. And again, it's only 1 game. So and a lot of these guys, they don't play a lot in the preseason. So those first couple games, they're trying to find their footing. This is kind of like their preseason in a way. So we'll see if it gets better for Caleb Williams. Another local shout out, our guy Alexander Madison, the pride of San Bernardino High School, his first game in the silver and black of the Raiders. The good news is Alex scored a touchdown. Caught a touchdown, made a great run up the sideline to get in the end zone. The bad news is it was Las Vegas's only touchdown in the game as Jim Harbaugh and the Lightning Bolts come out and win their first game of the year, 22-10 against the Raiders. And Patrick, my takeaway for the Chargers, and I think we knew that he was trying to do this, is that the Chargers are going to be black and blue football, man. He's going to take that Michigan mentality where we're going to be big and strong up front. We're going to run the ball hard, and we're going to play great defense. So if you think we're just going to try to outscore you, that's not going to happen. We got Justin Herbert. He's great, I know. But he's going to play great defense, and they're going to run the football hard.
Fantasy football people, pick up Dobbins. He's going to be running the rock a ton. And the Raiders, oh my goodness. Gardner Minshew, I'd love to say, hey, man, he's going to save the day. It did not look like that, just like Pep just got through saying. Alexander, our boy, was the only bright spot for the Raiders. Their defense looked fine, and the offense clearly, I hate to say it to Mr. Jorts, but they do look like they need a quarterback. And it does look like if they don't do something soon, that wide receiver, Davante, he's going to be gone on another team.
Yeah, there was a lot of speculation in the offseason that he might end up with the Jets, with reuniting with Aaron Rodgers. And if the Raiders, are out of playoff contention or things are spiraling out of control early, like maybe they do kind of revisit that idea. But he said, Davante Adams said all the right things this offseason, like, oh, no, I want to be here, I got faith in this team and all this stuff. But all the noise around Davante Adams was that, oh, yeah, he wants to go back to the Jets. Aaron Rodgers wants him, in New York with him. So, I don't know. Keep an eye on the Raiders. Again, it's only the first game of the year. These are completely overreactions, but this is, the takeaways after game number 1.
You know how it is with the NFL. It is week to week. You live and die by it.
Dude, so many times. Like, one week you're like, oh, my gosh, my team is legit. And next week you're like, oh, my gosh, that might be the only game we win all this year. We're terrible. So, yeah,
So
I get
true.
it. I totally get that. If you're a Rams fan, you're thinking, oh, man, not again. The Rams went to Detroit on Sunday Night Football. Man, it was a game. It was probably the best game of the week. Went to overtime, and the Lions with a walk-off win, a walk-off touchdown by David Montgomery. That was it, man. 26-20. The Lions look like they're legit again.
Two very evenly matched teams, and then to see them in overtime run the ball every single time, that's a good sign for those Lions, because when the playoffs come, we know that, Pep, you got to run the football. They didn't pass it one time in OT, and they ran it right into the end zone. I was like, oof.
You know what? You can get fancy and have 4 or 5 wide receivers, and you can try to score 30, 40 points a game. But at the end of the day, Patrick, at the end of the day, if you're going to be really good, if you're a playoff team, if you're going to make a Super Bowl run, you've got to have a run game. You've got to run the football. And, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. If you run the football well, you're going to have a pretty good team. Detroit proved that.
They were also saying really quickly that it was kind of a genius move by the Detroit Lions, because if you see, they were in all blue, and then they had the background behind the end zone in all blue. So they were saying it's tough for Stafford to see those defenders. That's why they picked him off so much.
Home field advantage, right? I mean, that's why you got it. That's why you got it. Somebody came up with that idea. That worked out great.
Wow.
So that was a big win for the Detroit Lions, who look to be pretty good again, man. The big news we were talking about, like there was tons of news before the games even kicked off at 10 a.m. here in the IE on Sunday. Two big stories. The one was Tyreek Hill of the Miami Dolphins getting, I don't know if it was arrested or detained, depending on who you ask. But he was pulled over and handcuffed before the game, and then he went out and actually had a really good game as the Dolphins beat the Jaguars. But that's how the day started for Tyreek Hill.
Very strange to see him face down. And, it's a minor traffic violation. I don't know about you, Pep, but when there's a minor traffic violation, they don't have me face down handcuffing me. So clearly something is. Let's see the cameras. Let's see what happened here, because, wow, my goodness. Even Calais Campbell, his teammate, dropped by to try to de-escalate the situation. He ended up in handcuffs. Maybe it's because he's 6'8" and 350 pounds, and he might have terrified them. But I've heard he is the coolest guy. He stuck up for his teammate. That tells me he's a good man.
Yeah. For Calais Campbell, I get that part. But the Tyreek Hill, I want to know the whole story. Like, did he run a red light? Was he speeding? Like, I don't know. Right. I don't know if there's a lot of details out exactly what happened. If there's dash cam video, I want to know the details on that. But then he went out and actually played in the game. And he had a spectacular touchdown in that game as Miami came back to beat Jacksonville. So very weird. The whole thing is very, very strange. Him and Scotty Scheffler now, I guess, are buddies for life.
And he had the handcuff celebration after that.
Yeah, he did
touchdown.
after his touchdown. He sure did, man. He had a teammate handcuff him in the end zone.
Yes.
That was funny. So that was one big story before the games even started. The other big story was Dak Prescott, the quarterback of America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. He finally got that huge contract. It's 4 years, $240 million. So when you do the math, that's $60 million per year, the biggest contract. And hey, they went out on the road and beat the Cleveland Browns. I'm not saying, I don't know if he's worth $60 million a year, but they beat a bad Cleveland Browns team with Deshaun Watson, who can't seem to figure it out anymore.
It seems like you need to look at the going rate, and they should have got this done earlier, and they could have saved themselves a little bit of money.
Yeah.
Waiting does not work out. And now Dak Prescott is the highest paid NFL player right now. That doesn't seem right to me. But hey, good for Dak. I'm not against the guy getting his paper. Get your paper. Yeah. But my goodness.
Secure the bag, as the kids would say. Like,
yes.
I get that, man, totally. But yeah. What has he done? Like, honestly, like, what has he done? Like, wow. He hasn't got the Cowboys anywhere, and he's getting a ton of money. So I almost thought they were going to move off of him, and they were going to go in a different direction at quarterback. But apparently I was wrong, because he secured the bag. And then he went out and beat the Browns. So
yep.
All right, finally, Patrick, real quick, college football, USC shutout victory against Utah State on Saturday. Their first shutout since 2011 at the LA Coliseum. So they move up to number 11 in the latest AP rankings. The big game over the weekend was at the Big House. Texas beat Michigan. So if you look at the rankings, Texas leapfrogs Ohio State to go to number 2 in the nation, right behind Georgia. And remember, Texas is an SEC school now. So Texas and Georgia, the number 1 and 2 teams in the country, both from the same conference.
It's funny to see them. It's hard to predict how these college teams are going to do because just as a quick example, Oregon almost got upset by Boise State. Oregon, I mean, they were ranked number 3 in the beginning. It will work itself out. Good for USC. USC is doing their thing. It's kind of fun to see what's going to happen. Let's see if they end up in the playoff, man. That would be something.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the good thing. Like these SEC schools, the Big Ten schools, they'll play head-to-head. We don't have to speculate who's the better team. Like a lot of these teams will go head-to-head further on in the season. So we'll find out who is the better team, no doubt.
We will, man. I can't wait till we talk more sports because the one thing that makes Mondays better is Monday Night Football. Yes. I hate Mondays, but the one thing that makes it better is Monday Night Football. So we can definitely enjoy. You're a 49ers fan. Yeah. So we get to see the 49ers and the Jets go at it. Will Aaron Rodgers make it past 4 plays? We'll see. And then we get to talk about it on Thursday with our guy, Pep. Tell him how to get your stuff.
Let's go Niner Gang. Get my stuff on Inland Sports, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We got Inland Sports on the old YouTube channels. You can check that out. That's Inland Sports.